Be a bookworm with Barry's Book Club.
As we already told you last week, Karen, who's in charge of Karen's Book Club, is on vacation for 2 weeks.
She's in Europe, so we've got a European in her spot while she's away. Good morning, Barry.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
Do you want to just quickly introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'd love to. My name's Barry Welsh. I'm an English instructor at Sukkumyang Women's University, and I'm the host of the 10 Magazine Book Club.
10 Magazine Book Club.
That's right, yeah.
So 10
What's
is
that
the
exactly?
title of this
Yeah,
magazine.
10
then.
Magazine is a Seoul-based listings magazine, which is about the art and culture and things that are happening in Seoul just now. And I run a book club for them, and we invite different writers to come and speak at the book club every month.
Often people who are connected, obviously, to Korea, people who live in Korea and write on Korea.
Yeah, absolutely. We have expat writers, and we have, Korean native writers. So last month we had Kim Young-ha, and before that we had Andrew Salmon, Daniel Tudor, lots of different great local writers.
10 Magazine, of course, an English language magazine about Seoul and about Korea. And we're going to talk about a visiting author who's in the country at the
That's
moment.
right, absolutely.
In a little
I
bit.
won't say his name.
Okay.
Well,
so
because
first
that's
of
not
all,
the first story.
right. So shall we begin with the first story then?
Great idea.
All right. So we're going to get started with the Seoul International Book Fair. Such a big event in the book business in Korea.
That's right, yeah. That's the big news this week in literature and books is the Seoul International Book Fair 2013, and it's at the COEX in Gangnam, and it runs until the 23rd of June, and it's a fantastic opportunity, if you haven't been before, to learn about the Korean literary scene and the international literary scene.
Right. Not just books that were published in Korea, but globally. It's quite a
That's
global
right.
event.
Yeah, absolutely. This year they have 2 countries that they're focusing on. So the guest of honor country is India this year. So they have lots of books and exhibitions and seminars about Indian literature, culture, art and history. And the other country they're focusing on is Canada, and they're focusing on Canada because it's to celebrate the 50th year of diplomatic ties between Canada and Korea. So
And also just because Canada is such a great place. in
that,
general.
He's from
right.
Canada.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah.
So I had no idea how big a deal this festival actually was.
Yeah.
The president attended the opening ceremony.
Oh, really? Fantastic. Yeah, I wonder what book she bought. I wonder what she's reading tonight.
She could get some free books, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But I know that she's an avid book reader.
Oh, really? Uh-huh.
Yeah, we talked about it on Around Town, the fact that obviously I probably focused a little bit more heavily on the Canadian aspect of it than the Indian one. But yeah,
Okay.
they've got books from authors all over the world. And if you want some more information, where should you go?
Well, we can look at the website. They've got an excellent website in English and Korean, and it's www.sibf.or.kr. And that will give you all the information. So transport, what's the easiest way to get there, the buses, the subway, and yeah, it's very helpful. It tells you the schedule for the seminars and the authors that are going to be talking.
자, 저자와의 대화 프로그램도 마련이 되어 있고 그 밖에 여러 가지 부대 행사들이 마련이 되어 있습니다. 몇 년 전에는 책 만들 수 있는 거, book making sort of booth. There was one booth which was about like making books.
Yeah, I
herself.
saw that yesterday, and it's fantastic.
still there?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, they have small bookmaking workshops. So I think I can't remember where exactly it is, but if you go and look, you'll find that. Yeah.
Right.
All kinds of different activities going on there.
Yeah, absolutely.
As
yeah.
well as just being able to buy books from authors all around the world. That's the Seoul International Book Fair happening right now at COEX. All right, what's the next story you got for us?
Well, as we mentioned, there's a very famous Korean-American author, a Korean-American novelist, and he's also a Princeton University professor in Seoul right now.
Oh.
Who's that?
He's a Korean-American novelist. He's been thought of as a possible Nobel Literature Prize winner, and his book Native Speaker is one of his notable works. And I
Right.
believe you're going to ask a
Let's make a quiz
Quiz
out of
question.
it before
There you
Sensei Nim has a heart attack.
Okay.
Yes, I was having a heart attack. 왜냐하면 빨리 퀴즈 내드려야 되는데 답을 말씀해 드릴까 봐. 자, here's the quiz question. Could you please give us the question once again?
Okay, sure. So who is the person we are talking about? He's a Korean-American novelist and has been thought of as a possible Nobel Literature Prize winner. The book Native Speaker is one of his most notable works.
And he's in Seoul right
He's
now.
in Seoul right now. He's been doing different things here, and we're going to tell you in a little while where you can see him speaking.
Sure. And if you'd like to win an English Town online 영어 수강권, send your answer, who you think that is. We're going to tell you in just a second. If you stay tuned, it's 우무정 1045 450원.
Right. And we do have choices actually to choose from.
Oh, so there's two options. Is it number 1, Go Un, or number 2, Chang Rae?
I see.
우무정 1045 450원. Number 1, Go Un. Number 2, leechangrae. Whose name is pronounced a little bit differently in English.
Oh,
He's
really?
called Chang Rae Lee in English.
That's right, yeah.
So that's a tough name. Chang Rae.
Chang Rae.
And
Chang Rae.
in English, because that R goes in the spelling,
Right.
so people pronounce the R, Chang Rae.
Chang Rae.
Tricky, and
Right.
confusing.
Yes, so we're going to be talking a little more about this particular author. If you could give us a little more detailed information, please. About this author?
About this, okay, so Chang Rae was born in South Korea in 1965. Of course, when he was very young, he emigrated to the United States with his family. He was just 3 years old. And he grew up in New York, and after that he attended academies in Exeter, New Hampshire, and then he went to Yale University. He got a degree in English, and then later on he got a degree in writing, an MFA in writing from the University of Oregon. But he didn't go straight into writing. He actually worked as a Wall Street financial analyst before he began his career as a writer.
Really? That I didn't know.
We're talking, of course, about leechangrae or Chang Rae Lee, but you've got our Bandy Geshipan a buzz right now, Barry.
Oh, really?
It's Igang Unnim says, "Oh my God, Barry looks so handsome."
Oh my gosh.
And
Oh,
Kupano
really?
0163님 says he's got a really weird accent. Where is he from?
No, he didn't say he got really weird accent.
That's what it says.
I'm from Scotland. However, I've also spent some time in Ireland and England.
And your last name is Welsh.
My last name's Welsh.
So
yeah.
you're a very United Kingdom fellow.
That's right.
yes.
That's right.
You
yes.
know that they can actually see you during
I
the show.
didn't know at first. However, I do know now. So hello, everybody.
There you go. Okay, so so he used to work on the Wall Street as a.
That's right. Unusual career for someone who became a writer. Yes.
Sure, but I think you can find writers from all walks of life who are
Yes.
not necessarily enjoying their current profession, but then often use their experiences in that job in the novels that they end up writing.
Right.
Definitely.
So what are some of the notable sort of works of art that he
Well,
came
his
up with?
first book that brought him to prominence was Native Speaker. That was in 1995, and it won several awards, including the Penn Hemingway Award, which is quite a prestigious American award. Yeah.
That's about being a Korean American.
That's exactly right, yeah. And it's also, there's some industrial espionage in there. But of course, the title and the background, so there's an interesting thing about being a native speaker, but, sort of a foreign native speaker in America.
Right.
So that's why it's interesting to lots of Korean writers. Later, after that, his second novel was a Gesture Life.
Gesture
and
Life.
again, that was about identity and assimilation into a different culture. And then later on, he wrote about Korean comfort women during World War II. And most recently, he's got a book coming out called On Such a Full Sea, and that'll be out in 2014. And if you go and see him speak next week, you'll see him doing a reading from that book.
Wow. So he's going to be there at the. Do you think he's going to be at one of the seminars during the festival period?
He's not actually going to be at the International Book Festival. He's got his own events that he's doing. He's got 2 events arranged next week, and we can tell you about those.
Yeah, how can you go see him if you want to see selected readings from his new book?
Well, okay, if you're a student, you can see him at the American Center next Thursday. So he's going to give a lecture next Thursday. And again, the thing that he'll be lecturing about is identity, sort of identity politics. And he'll also be giving a reading from his next book, On Such a Full Sea. So you can get a sneak peek at his new book, which won't be out until 2014. And there's one other place you can see him, and I think this one's open to the public, and that's at the Lotte Hotel next Friday. That's the 28th of June.
Probably the one on 소공동 area, the downtown.
Oh, okay, yeah.
자, 저기 6월 28일 금요일에는 롯데호텔에서 또 행사가 있고, The American Center에서는 아마 미국 문화원이 될 것 같은데요. 자, 6월 27일 목요일에 또 학생들을 대상으로 한 행사가 있습니다.
That one's also open to the public, actually, but you have to RSVP before you go to it. You can email eeyongmi at state.gov. That's leeyongmi at state.gov.
네, 아주 유명한 그런 이제 그 재미교포 작가라고 할 수 있겠죠. Korean American author, native speaker로 아주 유명한 작가. 자, 이창래 씨에 대한 얘기였고요. And I understand that you also have the pick of the week.
That's right. Yeah, the novel that I've chosen this week is actually by a Canadian writer.
Finally, we're talking about Canada.
Well, yeah, fantastic. He's a fantastic writer, a very famous writer called Yann Martel, and I'm sure lots of the listeners know this book. It's called Life of Pi. It's a very famous book.
Not only a famous movie, but it became a famous movie.
It became a famous movie the rest of the year. That's right. So actually, it was an incredibly successful movie. The book sold millions of copies, but the movie as well actually made over $600 million internationally.
Wow.
And it was directed by a famous Taiwanese film director called Ang Lee, who's directed some really incredible movies. He's a great film director.
He won Best Director for that film.
Exactly.
He did. It was the second time he won Best Director, and yeah, strangely, the film didn't win Best Film, but he won Best Director.
The film
Right.
did end up winning the most Oscars this year of
I
any
think
other
so. It did,
film.
yeah, 5 or 6 or something.
Four.
4. Okay.
Four. 네 개. 자, 얀 마텔 작가에 대한 이야기입니다. The Life of Pi로 유명한 또 작가죠. So if you could tell us a little bit more about this writer, please.
Okay, so Yann Martel, he's a very, very interesting guy. His parents are French-speaking Quebecers, and Quebec, as I'm sure Rich can tell us, it's the French-speaking part of Canada, that's right. And so he was actually born in Spain, and his first language is French, and his father was a diplomat, and as his father was a diplomat, this meant he traveled quite extensively when he was a child. And so he lived in Costa Rica, France, Mexico, and Canada. And I guess he obviously caught the travel bug when he was a child, because as an adult he lived in Iran, Turkey, and India. And he studied philosophy.
He studied philosophy.
Yeah, that's right.
And you've got a clip from Life of Pi, which won the Booker Prize, which is probably
It
the
did.
most coveted award.
It's
for
the
books.
most prestigious British prize, and I guess one of the most prestigious in the world as well. But it's definitely up there. It's definitely up there, yeah.
So what part are you going to read of the book for us?
Okay, I'm going to read a very exciting part of the novel. If you know the story, if you saw the film, this is the part of the novel where the ship sinks. So the main character, Pai Patel, he's on a boat with some zoo animals, and the ship sinks in the Indian Ocean.
And this is how he ends up in the boat that he spends most of the novel in.
That's right, yeah. He ends up on a life raft with a Bengal tiger, and this is how it happens.
벵골 그렇죠. 그 무슨 무시무시한 그 호랑이도 막 같이 타고 그랬잖아요. 자, 바로 이 부분을 우리 이제 어베리의 음성으로 한번 들어볼까요?
What are you doing? Richard Parker, don't you love life? Keep swimming then. Kick with your legs. Kick, kick, kick. He stirred in the water and made to swim. His head was barely above water. He was looking up, taking in the sky one last time. There was a lifebuoy in the boat with a rope tied to it. I took hold of it and waved it in the air. Ravi was right. Truly, I was to be the next goat. I had a wet, trembling, half-drowned, heaving and coughing 3-year-old adult Bengal tiger in my lifeboat. Richard Parker rose unsteadily to his feet on the tarpaulin, eyes blazing as they met mine, ears laid tight to his head, all weapons drawn. His head was the size and colour of the lifebuoy with teeth. I turned around, stepped over the zebra, and threw myself overboard.
네, 자, so he just read to us a part from this.
The Life of Pi
The
by
Life of
Yann
Pi by
Martel.
Yann
Strangely,
Martel.
that's a sentence that I've said before. I turned around, stepped over the zebra, and threw myself overboard. That's
Yeah, it's an
kind of
everyday
surprising.
occurrence, right?
So let's hear that quiz one more time, Barry.
Okay, so who is the person we're talking about? He's a Korean-American novelist, has been thought of as a possible Nobel Literature Prize winner, and the book Native Speaker is one of his notable works.
And of course, the answer is number 2, Leechangrae, known in
That's
English
right.
as Chang Rae Lee.
Chang Rae Lee.
5996 gets the English Town Online 영어 수강권. That's 끝번호 5996님. 축하드립니다.
네, 5996님 말씀하시기를 이창래 작가요 모닝 스페셜 덕분에 좋은 작가님을 알게 됐다고 하셨습니다. And actually, 5996님 is one of many other sort of listeners who share the same opinion. Actually, a lot of the audience members, they have read at least one or two of 이창래 씨's works of art.
okay.
How nice.
And you're
Okay.
going to be with us again next week, right? Barry?
That's right. Yeah, looking forward to it.
All
Thanks
right.
for having me.
Thank you very much
We'll
for
see you
coming.
then.
Take care.